Alright, today we are going to be talking about loops in Python, and it's really going to be very easy. Remember to subscribe, click on subscribe button below this video. At least by subscribing to my channel, you encourage me to continue making these videos for you. Alright, so and also if you have some comments, something you would like me to explain clearly, then also leave in the comment box below. Alright, so let's talk about loops in Python. Loops in Python is very much easier to write than in other languages. One thing about Python is that these curly braces, most times you don't see these curly braces in Python. You use these colon instead of curly braces. So let's see how it goes. Let's just write a function. Remember, the best way to learn programming is to just do it. So let's start with the for loop in Python, and then we can continue with the while loop in Python. So the first thing we are just going to do, let's just write a simple program that prints numbers from 1 to 10. So let's say for I in count in range. So this is how you specify range 1 to 10. So one good thing about PyCharm, which is a compiler I'm using, is that it gives you some kind of intelligence, that is hints on what to do and what not to do. So in this case we have 1 to 10, so have comma. Then we can also specify at the end we can use colon. Each time you use colon in Python, it tells you that what follows the line is part of that line. So if we are using a colon and we press enter, it indents the line, meaning that everything indented forms the body of the loop. Anytime you go back from the indentation back to the starting point, it means you are going out of the loop. So you see how Python specifies the body of the loop instead of using the normal curly braces. It uses indentation. Alright, so at this point, let's just display I. So this is a normal for loop, and let's run it to see what happens. So you can see, let me take this up. So it actually prints 1 to 9. So at this point, you can see that 10 is not included. So for loops work in a way such that it actually runs the loop from the first item to the 10th to just a number before the 10th item. So if you actually want it to include 10, then it means you make it to be 11. So what is always checking, I is from 1 and I is less than 10 in case of a for statement in C++ or Java. But in Python, you actually use this. So this is how for loop works in Python. Let's do something a little different. So let's say we want to print out numbers from 5 to 100 in steps of 5. That is 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. So in that way, let's say we can just say from 5 to 101, and then we can include the step of 5. So at this point, it will be increasing in steps of 5. So the last number here specifies the step. So you can just try it to see how it works. So if I go ahead to run this program, you can see that it works perfectly well. All right. Python also have a way to print out items in a list. So let's take, for instance, we have a list of items. Let's say names. Let's say list of names. Let's say we have list of names, because each time you're writing a program, you most likely will be working with lists. So we want to print out everything in this list. So alright, so this is a list of names stored in names. At this point, if I say print and say names, let's see what happens. Run. So it doesn't, okay, this is fine. Alright, so you see it printed out as a list. Everything is inside the list. but we want to actually print it in sequential order so that it print one per line. So we can also use a for loop. We can just say for name in names, print name. So it's one thing about Python you can easily see is that it is really very easy. So you can see just 2 lines of code, we can just accomplish something really good. So for name in names, print name actually lists out all this. So this is how easy. It's literally so simple to use Python. It's as easy as ABC to use loops in Python. Let's now go to the while loop. I'm going to take out this, or maybe I comment them all. Just put the comments so that if you want to reuse this code, you can remove the comment. All right, so this time we want to look at while loops. So while loops actually first specifies the loop condition and then run. Let's say we want to do the same thing like or display numbers from 1 to 10. So we can start from 0. Let's say I equal to 0. So while I is less than 10, while I is less than 10, we remember to put the colon. So while I is less than 10, we now print. So let's just make it a little fancy, number, and then plus I. So what is happening here is that while I is less than 10, is printing an item. So I want it in such a way that each time it prints one item, it will have to increase I to I plus 1. So we can use I plus plus. Okay, I don't know why this is not working. So just say I is equal to I plus 1. So what happens here in the first time, it checks I is 0, and it prints number 0, right? And it says I is equal to 1, which is 0 plus 1. That I becomes 1. If it goes back again, it checks is I is less than 10. Yes, I is 1. It prints number, and this time is going to be 1. So in this way, to print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 9. Remember that this is a less than sign, and 9 is the last number in the list. So if I go ahead to run this code, you could see, okay, it's telling me that, okay, so this is something I will explain later, because I have this number here is a string, and I have this I here is a number. So most times in Python syntax, you can actually join a string and a number in a print statement. So to solve this problem, we can do one of two things. Either you take out this completely, and this way you are printing just a number. Another thing you can do, if you actually want to join numbers and string, you can use a function in Python called str to convert the number to a string representation. So stri will solve this problem. Sorry. All right, so at this point it's going to work. So let's run it to see how it works. Oh, okay. So we have a problem. The problem is that we did not increment I, so it's running indefinitely. I is equal to I plus 1. So at this point, we'll make sure that I is actually increasing and getting towards 10. So let me clear this, and then I'm going to run this code again. So you can see number 0, number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on. So I'll recommend you try this, try different different loops in different variables and see how it works. In the next tutorial, we're actually going to go a little deeper. We dive a little deeper into nested functions in Python. I'd like to thank you for viewing. I'll also like to remind you to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next lesson.